What's up? What's up? What's up, world? It is your boy J Dubs here with Digital Diving for another game review. Now, today we are going to be talking about a game that has been fairly popular enough to span 3 games in this indie franchise. This game is OlliOlli World. Now, this game, there's so much I really want to talk about with this game and what they've done with it. So, you know what? Let's jump in and get right to it. Before I do start this review, I want to let you know what I'm running it on. I did purchase it for my PC, so I have a i7 9700F with 16 gigs of memory, NVIDIA GeForce RTX 2070 Super, 1 terabyte HDD with 512 gigabytes SSD. And I do want to talk about some performance issues that I did have with the game, but I'll get to that in a second after I get through the other part of this review. So first, I want to talk about graphics. As you can see, the graphics look very beautiful, very visually appealing. They completely have revamped the graphics from the last 2 games. The second game was more refined with the style that it took, with how it sharpened the edges of the lines and everything that was created in the game. And I thought that the second game was really well done already when in terms of graphical improvement from the first game. But this game really just took everything from scratch and just completely redid it, gave it a more psychedelic style, and I am a man of psychedelics. I mean psychedelic vibes. And I think it's beautiful. I think it gives you that really Saturday morning cartoon kind of euphoria feeling where you jump into this game and you just get lost in it, and you end up playing for hours, and you're just like, whoa, where'd the time go? It's really well done, really phenomenal. I love the graphical styles of all the characters that they're in the game. The skate wizard is really cool. Even the quirky kind of purposefully lame dad is something to be enjoyed when it comes to the graphical style of the game. And I thought that was really well done. Next, I want to talk about the sound and the music. So, like, everything from the sound, the music, from when you start the game, as soon as you get in on the map, it literally takes your breath away. It is just seething with childlike wonder, and it's just like, it's almost as if this is what life looks and sounds like for a 5-year-old that's on a sugar rush, Once again, the music really does help to, help with the atmosphere of that Saturday morning cartoon feeling. You wake up, it's bright, it's beautiful, you just want to get in, jump in, and start having your fun and playing for as long as you possibly can, and you never ever want to put it down, and I love that, because as much as I love my dark and gritty games, I do need my sunshine and my good times and my good vibes, because your homie be stressed. And I think the sound is really well done. I want you to just sit here and listen to the menu, not even the menu music, because it uses all the same music, but just the music in general, from the menu to in the game and everything in between. Just go ahead and listen, listen for a second. See that face? That is the face of a man enjoying the music of the game he's playing. I'm sitting there bumping and grinding my head, and it is just amazing. Like, I cannot stop listening to this music, and I don't normally, listen to OSTs outside of games. And when I do, it's usually when it's a really exceptional soundtrack, something really unique that stood out about it to me, and something that I really love. I love not only just the kind of like the dubstep-esque, tracks. It's just, everything sounds really refined, really well done, and they kind of just stepped it up beyond what the second game did. Tracks are always beautiful, always. Um, Next thing I do want to talk about is going to be performance. Now, there was some interesting things I saw with the performance of the game. Where, so if you look at the cutscene, if you look at the NPCs and cutscenes, they are kind of laggy. Like, I mean, like 15 frames, 20 frames laggy. Now, I don't know if that was done intentionally on purpose to fit more of what the game was going for or what, but it is it's very interesting that the game plays in 60, but this one part of the game where like NPCs and even your character in some instances moves very much is very much laggy. So I don't know if that was intentionally done or if it wasn't. It's not that big of a deal, but it is something that to notice and something that others will notice to pick up on. But it didn't bother me too much personally. Now, this is what I wanted to touch on specifically. I don't know if anybody else has had this issue, but when I was streaming it day one, and also when I was recording gameplay for it day one, day two, I was getting this weird blackout effect. You could see it in the background. That's not how it's supposed to look. And then when I was streaming, the screen just completely just straight blacked out. And that's not what I was seeing. I was seeing full color. I was seeing everything just fine. That's only what my viewers were seeing, and that's only what when I recorded gameplay, it played back with that blacked out screen. Now, what I did to get this gameplay that you saw in the beginning of the video was it was something in OBS. When I was using OBS and I got that blackout background, I was using game capture, so it was capturing the game itself. What I switched it to was I switched it to desktop capture, so it just captures whatever was on the desktop, which which was the game eventually, you know. So I don't know why that is, but it looks like when it comes to this game, if I'm personally recording gameplay, I have to put it on display capture and not game capture. Now, as far as streaming, I still don't know how I'm gonna fix that because I don't know. It might have to be the same thing where I just put on display capture. I am not sure. Um, but besides those two things, those two specific things, I didn't see a lot that was. I haven't seen a lot that was wrong with the performance of the game. It runs consistently smooth at a consistent 60, which I don't doubt it would. It's an indie game, and I have a mid range console. I mean mid range PC, so it should have been okay. Which it for the most part was, and for the most part still is. All right, now that brings me to what I really wanted to dig into about this game, and the thing that sets it apart from the other two games the most is the gameplay. There is so much to dive into here with this gameplay, and one thing I want to note is especially if you are a fan of the other two games and you've played them frequently, the one thing you're going to notice is that this game has become way more accessible for newcomers, which I find a lot of games doing that. Games that have a long-standing series, not even a long-standing, but just have a series, or have more of a niche community. They're starting to try and become more accessible. Guilty Gear Strive did the same thing. You know, it's becoming it's becoming very rampant with fighters and specifically specifically fighters, but also in other genres of video games. You know, Guilty Gear, Dead or Alive, and even the new King of Fighters, I heard has more powerful auto combos, so they can help newcomers kind of come into the game. So the thing with this, what makes this game more accessible is for one, the checkpoint system. There was no checkpoint system in OlliOlli 1 or 2. And they've added this checkpoint system where after you go through a certain part of the map, there will be a checkpoint that you'll pass, and you don't have to restart if you die. You start from that point on. And it will give you rewards if you don't end up using the checkpoint, which is really cool. And the other thing pretty much that makes this game more accessible is the timing for your landing. This game has a way more forgiving timing for lands And as a matter of fact, it has sort of an auto land mechanic as well, where you don't have to press a button. With the other two games, you had to press a button to have a stable land and to land safely and to land correctly. This game, it doesn't have that. You'll pretty much automatically land no matter what you do, minus a couple things. And those things are doing grabs while you're on your way down into a landing and running into stairs that go vertically upward instead of going down. So those are pretty much the only two ways for you to wipe out on the ground. Which I found very, very, very interesting. The game is a lot more fast paced, and that is very much apparent with some of your mechanics. You have a more powerful push mechanic where you can charge your pushes now. So that's also really different. It gives you more momentum, more speed to work with, and it could, make the game feel more fast paced and more exhilarating as well. Um, and also, I believe that they made the game more accessible, and because of how much more fast paced the game is and how much more complex the levels are. It's kind of like how Doom Eternal was given a lot more mechanics and everything, so they could not completely overhaul, but completely up the ante and up the difficulty of the game itself. And that's kind of apparent here, where you can see that they gave you an auto land mechanic. The timing for landing tricks correctly is a lot more forgiving in this game, but it's also more fast paced and a lot more complex, and you can do a lot more in this game than you could the other games, which I will get more into later on as the review goes on. And I think that's interesting, but I also have my own personal thoughts on it as well. Um, Customization to character. This is something that clearly, if you've played the other games, is 100% different. They allow you to customize your own character and give him his own outfit, skin color, skin tone, facial hair, facial features. They allow you to do all that, and it's impressive that an indie game would have this. I always find it impressive and nice to see, because you've had so many AAA games that have had to cut such features out of their games because it just couldn't fit, or it just wasn't right, or what they wanted it to be, so they cut it out. So I find it very interesting and impressive that this game does have the customization that it does have. Now, me personally, I found that the what you how you customize your character's face was a bit lacking, but it is an indie game. It is the first time they're implementing this system, so maybe they just wanted to try it out and see what people think about it, see how it goes, and see if they will continue to build with it and build upon it for either later DLC or maybe another game. So I could definitely see that being a thing. But there isn't really that many hairstyles. There's not that many facial features that you could put on your character. And you do have a varied amount of skin tone, which I appreciate. But yeah, maybe you can unlock more facial features and more facial hair and hairstyles as you go on through the game. I haven't seen that yet, so I'm not too sure. Um, Now, something that I like that they gave for the more hardcore players is that they gave you they kind of not revamped the rival system, but they've kind of improve the rival system, where it's always looking for an active rival for you, particularly while you're doing your run on whichever level. It will find you a rival, or find you a goal to beat, find you something to help you get better, and you can even watch their recording, their gameplay of how they got their score. I think that's really cool, especially for people that take this game more seriously, so you can find out things that sometimes there's stuff that person did that you don't even know you could do. Like, that happened to me when I first started this game. I looked at somebody's replay of theirs and how they got their score, and I was like, "Yo, I didn't even know you could do that. What is that? I can't wait to learn that." Of course, it's the beginning of the game, so he was doing some advanced stuff that the game didn't teach you yet, but maybe he had played the game and then came back to it to better his score. That's probably what happened. But I think that's really cool that they added, or not added, but they kind of amped up the rival system. So it's like constant, because like in other two games, it was there, but it was kind of more in the background. Like if you wanted to look at the leaderboards and see what the score was, you could, but it wasn't like right there. Like, hey, you can beat this rival, and then if you don't beat the rival, then it gives you a little tagline that's like rival unbeaten, and it's just like they really want you to have like that friendly competition between players, and I think that's really cool. One thing that hardcore players will be more excited about is that they did add more, not only incentives for doing and being better at the game, such as in-game customizations like skateboards, clothes, etc., stuff like that. But they also just added more depth to the game in general. You can now do certain tweaks that you couldn't do before. You can do grabs and you can manual downstairs. Oh my god. I will go into detail about why that is such a big fucking deal later in the interview. Later in this review. I think also that there's an interesting inclusion of the right joystick for tricks and gameplay compared to the other games that the right joystick was used to switch music tracks, and it wasn't there to be used for anything gameplay related. So I like that. I like the fact that they've added the right stick in the gameplay, because it's a simple mechanic that can help tweak your combos to make you look more pro-ish, or to, if you are a pro, something that pros use, to help their combo extend it and to just help you just look cool as hell while you're skating and ripping and running on these levels. I think that's really cool. Really enjoyed it. I love the fact that you can now switch back and forth between songs, because the other games you can only switch the song forward, and I thought that's really cool. One thing to note with the inclusion of the right joystick as gameplay mechanics is, especially for Switch players. I have OlliOlli 1 and 2 on the Switch, and one thing that was kind of annoying but wasn't really a big deal is that because the right joystick was for switching characters, the since the right joystick was for switching songs, honestly, 9 times out of 10, I would switch the song by accident because the right joystick is so close to the button layout on the Switch. Well, at least the Switch Lite. So for Switch Lite owners, at least, I would just be careful getting this game on the Switch, because if you're pushing the right stick accidentally, then you could accidentally do something that you didn't want to do, and it could cause you to wipe out. So I would just be very careful of that. Definitely something to be very careful of that. So like, I just want to summarize right now the game changers in this game. What actually makes this game different dynamically, just because of the change in mechanics. First of all, you don't need to push a button to stick the landing anymore, and this is really big, because remember, as I said previously, you had to press a button in order to land stably, in order to be able to do inputs in quick succession. You had to have a perfect landing or a sick landing. You had to land it perfectly so you could do one thing, do one thing, especially in the later levels where it gets tough and they throw a lot of stuff at you at one time. Yeah, that is very essential. So they kind of got rid of that, and it's a more technical thing that they got rid of to help make things more accessible. And then perfect lands don't affect your score anymore. If you recall, in the previous OlliOlli games, if you got a perfect land, it would not only allow you to keep your score that you built up, but it would also give you a little bit of a multiplier for getting a perfect landing or getting a sick landing. You would get a certain boost in your score, and they've kind of done away with that, because now you have this auto land mechanic, where you don't need to push anything to land, you'll just land. And I've done the same trick multiple times, and I've done it with a perfect landing, and then I've done it without pressing a button at all, and I got the exact same score. Nothing changed. Um, and I love the right stick inclusion for grabs and for other help and to help with your tricks and your different moves. I love that. I think it's really cool. But like I said, Switch players, just be wary because you might end up pressing the right stick by accident. Being able to manual downstairs, that is so beautiful. That is so beautiful. Why? Because in the first and second games, stairs were the bane of your existence, and they still kind of are. But like, you couldn't manual down the stairs. You had to either completely clear it, or there were times where I like somehow got the hit the stairs perfectly, where I was able to get a quick landing off of it. But of course, I didn't react in time to jump up and finish clearing the stairs, so I fell down the rest of them. But I think it's beautiful that you can now manual downstairs. It's definitely a game changer. It really helps with your combos, helps you keep moving, and stairs aren't going to be as much of an issue. You can keep your flow, keep it going. Momentum system. I believe that the momentum system really helps in a big way, because there were some of the tougher levels in OlliOlli World 2 specifically where you had to use the momentum because you had to know when it was right time to push and when it was the right time to just ride the momentum with a manual. And here it seems like they reworked the momentum system a little bit, where you can't just rely on manuals to help through the whole guide you through the whole track. And to use the same momentum, you have to either stop or find a rail to pick up speed, or something of that nature, or even rely more on the push. They've added new mechanics to the push, so they've added a more powerful push, so they want you to be geared towards using that instead of relying on manuals all the time. So this, I really do just want to say that this game just breathes happiness and euphoria. You can jump in, forget about your stress for either a couple hours, or if you want to do it for 30 minutes, or if you just want to play it all day, you can do that, and you just don't get tired of it. You don't get tired of it. Amazing art direction, amazing soundtrack, and definitely the fact that they have customizations is impressive for an indie game. So I do want to talk about some things that I wish they did have. Now, these aren't big things. These aren't really big things. They're just things that I would have seen as help improve the quality of the game overall. But the game is still, there's nothing missing, without these features. One thing is, I was surprised to see that you couldn't customize the controls on PC, and I don't think you could customize the controls on console either. Not that it feels dated, but I would have expected it, especially a game like this where controls and comfortability of controls are essential. I would have expected them to at least add the inclusion of being able to switch your controls. But if it was already hard for you to get the whole hang of the controls before, it might not be as hard this time around, because they did change things to make it more conducive to newcomers. So it might not be too bad. I haven't seen this yet, but I wish they did have a practice room where you could just have an endless grind, like an endless guardrail or something, and you could just practice your tricks and just have an endless level where you could just do that. I haven't seen it yet. Maybe it's later in the game, but I haven't seen or had anything hint that that was going to be a thing. Here's something that's super petty, super minute, super petty and minute. When you get new stuff, usually I know in a lot of games that have inventory, if you get something new, it'll there will be like a circle or a yellow emblem or some kind of highlighted thing around which category you got something new in. Like if you got like new glasses, the game won't tell you that you got new glasses. It will just say you got something new, and it won't highlight the glasses section of your inventory to say that you got new glasses in or something like that. I thought that was kind of weird that it didn't have something like that, but once again, really minute, tiny thing. You could just go in and see what you got, what you didn't, but sometimes you want to just be able to go straight to what you got and see it right there instead of kind of guess. Like say you don't look at your inventory for a long time, you don't know, what you got when, or you know, sometimes you just want to be able to go directly to it and see it. So it wasn't that big of a deal. I did like the visual indicators for getting perfect lands and getting sick lands and stuff like that a little bit better in the first two games. It was a little bit more distinctive, and it didn't like the indicators that you did something perfect or sick. It kind of blends in with the environment a little bit more here, probably because it's not as important that you get that visual indicator that you did it right, because you have auto lands now. So excuse me. So I did like the visual indicators here there a little bit more, but I like them. I like them just as much. I mean, not just as much, but I do like them a lot in this game. It's not breaking or anything. Here's the thing that maybe some hardcore fans might agree with. I wish that they had uh like a classic mode to turn off the checkpoints and the auto lands, to go back to the way the other games where we had to press a button to land, and they didn't have any checkpoints. I do like that because it brings back that technicality that the other games, it felt so much more satisfying to land a trick perfectly, to land a trick with a sick, you know, um, performance, because you realize that if you didn't do it perfectly or if you didn't do it well, then you would get that um, animation that would not allow you to put in any input for the duration of that animation. It was like the sloppy animation, where you would get a red marker, and then you would just be wobbly on your board. You would not be able to put in any quick succession inputs, or even put any inputs at all for like a good 2 3 seconds. And in OlliOlli, that's a lifetime. um, so I wanna close out with a couple things. I just want to say that OlliOlli is a visual marvel and just a spectacle to play. I think this game kind of channels the old ways of replayability before online blew up, just because of the fact that what motivates replayability isn't just beating the rivals or beating your friends on the leaderboards, but and I even that may be reserved for people that take the game more seriously. But the fact that the game feels so good when you get it right. The fluidity mixed with the tricks, mixed with the speed. It 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 feels so good when you get it right. Just for that sake alone, it feels so satisfying to play when you get it right. And you see that big combo multiplier build up, and you see that final score, and you're like, yeah, man, I nailed it. You feel like that, it feels so amazing. And it's kind of the same thing with Doom Eternal. When you're dipping and dodging and running and you're tearing these demons apart, it just feels so good just to get it right. Not even to be online doing it, just to get it right. And I think that's very, very beautiful, and that's something that's going to keep people coming back, regardless of what happens with the online. Um, I think that the title definitely lives up to its title, where it feels like a world. It feels, all inclusive. It feels like this giant place that you have to explore and get to all the nooks and crannies. I also like the fact that they put in like secret, not secret, but different passageways to get to a certain place. So there's always something to explore and find in the level. I think that's really, really cool. And then the one last thing I have to call this game out on, and it is so sad that I have to commend them for this, is not having any, and I mean any, I have not seen any up to this point, any microtransactions or NFTs or loot boxes. And I could see how easy it would have been to put those in the game, but I don't see them anywhere. I think that's refreshing, and I think it's beautiful that the game makes you unlock all your rewards. And it's really sad that companies are trying to almost make that obsolete just because of their own greed. I really do. I think that's atrocious. It really is. But anyway, yeah, that wraps up my review for OlliOlli World. If there's anything that I missed that you want me to go over, or not that you want me to go over, but anything that I didn't go over and you would have liked to see it mentioned in the video, please let me know. Please let me know in the comments below. This is your boy J Dubs. If you like this video, yeah, you know, maybe give it a like, share it around if you feel like, you know, it was good, or if you just like what I had to say and you want others to see or hear about this game. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. You have been a blast to talk to. We will be doing regular reviews, uploading them on Wednesdays, and then we will go from there. Anyway, everybody, I hope everybody has a beautiful, beautiful rest of the week. I hope you enjoy trying to stay warm and enjoy these games coming out. February and March are going to be great months for games, and I just can't wait to talk my ass off about this stuff with you guys. All right, guys, have a good day.